Happy Saturday, Keepers of the Cash. Gary V, the Casual Comic Guy here. We're here with another Savage Saturday comic review. This time, episode number 51. We're just going to keep rolling with these, and we got a good one for you today. Today, we are bringing out the Savage Sword of Conan, issue 90. And if you don't know the significance of this issue, this is the first appearance of the Devourer of Souls, Rawl, I believe is how it's pronounced, but an imposing character, to be sure. So one that was brought up here in a story by Michael Fleischer with art by John Buscema, not John Belushi, John Buscema, and inks by Nestor Redondo. So great art team and a fantastic issue. Now you wouldn't see Rawl again until issue one. Oh shoot, the late 180s, written by Jim Owsley, who brought him back. And Jim Owsley had a 50 issues that he did on Conan the Barbarian, which were amazing. 11 of those 50 issues he co-wrote, a lot of those with Val Semix, but he brought an edge back to Conan that was just spectacular. His Conan was fierce, his Conan was unyielding, but his Conan was also very human and cared about what was going on about him. But we're not here to talk about Jim Owsley's run, no, regardless of how good it was. We're going to get into this issue. And again, the Devourer of Souls. So when this issue starts, it's on the battlefield. So we're already going. And you get hit with a great opening splash page, and you see Conan front and center fighting off with his army, a horde of people. And they're trying to lay siege to a castle and get in. They're trying to defeat an evil wizard who brought something back that from another place that he shouldn't have, from another world, another dimension, whatever you want to call it. And that is, of course, the Devourer of Souls. Now, he has this giant mare that he's on, or stallion, and he's overlooking the battlefield. Conan's paying him no mind. He's got his hands full. And this figure, this Devourer of Souls, he's just sitting there and he's eating these worms. And you don't know what they are, but he's constantly eating them. And the battle's raging. The king's on the battlefield. The shield maidens are around them protecting him. And an axle blows and the king is down. And that's when Rawl goes into action, and he is headstrong, heading to murder the king. He's mocking him. He's on his way, only to be dehorsed by Conan, who rushes in and shoulders him off his horse and humiliates him in front. This turns the tide of the battle. Everyone retreats back inside, and Rawl takes back off to the castle he's from. Conan, the king, and them go back to the tents where they're stationed, and everybody is safe. Another battle is fought. No clear victors. It's been an ongoing war for a while, and everyone on both sides is growing tired. Conan's side is starting to turn the tides of battle. They're trying to build some siege machines, and they're almost there, but not quite yet. And like I said, I'll be showing some art over here. Amazing art by Buscema and Ronaldo, and just incredible. But the king awards Conan, who is grateful for his service and saving his life, with the two shield maidens that were in his employ before. Now they are gifts to Conan, and they are tasked with protecting Conan. Conan's uneasy with receiving a gift from the king, but he does so begrudgingly, not to anger the king. And then we switch scenes. We're at the castle that they were laying siege upon with the evil wizard. And I'm blanking on his name right now, but he's definitely a sorcerer that has no good intentions whatsoever. He brought Rawl over here, and he is here to decimate and rule and take over. And he wants to make way for more people like Rawl to come over. Again, wizards, sorcerers, whatever you want to call them, with their short vision, right? A vision of what they want, with not how the people around them what they want as well. Because if you think for a second that Rawl wasn't going to have his own designs to take care of that wizard at some point. You'd be mistaken. So he used the king's money of that castle, and the king is kind of in their power. The king doesn't have power over them. So his rule is nothing. This little place here is just being ruled completely by the sorcerer and Rawl. The king has lost power except for a few people that are still loyal to him within the castle. And then you get the face reveal of Rawl, and it's grotesque, and he's monstrous. And you can imagine a whole race of people looking like that just want to come over and just decimate humanity. And they're still giving the king his illusion that he has some control. It's just easier for them to play along right now. But ultimately, this portal that he can open, and he's got a big jewel that he can open this portal with. And the jewel augments his power. So he needs that to open the portal. But he's only able to get one person through, and that was Rawl. But with the jewel's aid, he's going to be able to hold the portal open longer and get more of his people through. And then we switch back to the camp where Conan's overseeing the siege engines that are being built. And it's looking like things might be turning in their favor soon. Their weapons of war are only a day's way away from being completed. Conan's retired for the night, supposedly. But then he sneaks out. He's past the guards, but the shield maidens, he doesn't realize, are watching him. And he sneaks up to the castle and scales it. Takes out a guard, and he's inside. And he's just trying to see what's going on, see if there's some way he can end the war a little quicker, and, pilfer while he's there. While he's there, he comes across this jewel that is coveted by the sorcerer to augment his power, to open a portal that'll stay open longer and bring over Rawl and his minions. But Conan finds it, has no idea what it is, just that it's a big, giant jewel, and that, it can make him rich and give him an easy time for a bit, and he retires away with it and sneaks away. Now the shield maidens, they notice this, and Conan still hasn't been seen, and they report to the king that Conan must be a spy because he got in and out, and the king can't afford, as much as he likes Conan, to not be suspicious. So he sends his guards, they lock Conan up, and now Conan is in isolation. Now, they're not mistreating him, but the king can't take a chance of the possibility that Conan might be a spy, despite Conan's protest. So we got a lot of little webs going on here. So back at the castle where Rawl and the sorcerer are, the king is plotting against them. He wants to take control again, and he's got his few faithful that are with him. And they set up into the tower to kill Rawl and the sorcerer. But once they enter that room, Rawl hits them with these vapors and reduces their souls, out of their bodies and their whole bodies into these little worm-like creatures, which he picks up and eats. And the reason that his race wants to come over is they're out of food. They're starving where they're at. They devour souls, obviously the devourer of souls. And their power is to shrink these living things into these worm-like, earthworm-like, slug-like appearances, and then they eat them that way. And so he's consuming fistfuls of human souls every time he's shoving those worms in his mouth. Now, the king obviously has to be done away with, and that's Rawl's next task. He disposes of the people, and he goes down, takes care of the king for the sorcerer, and that rule is done. Another king dead, another sorcerer gaining more power, and under the illusion that he can control the thing which he brought from another world to ours. Conan is visited by one of the king's head guards, and he's like, look, he has nothing against you. He quite likes you. He can't take the chance, though. He'll release you after the siege, and victory, but victory isn't meant to be happen. Back at the evil castle, when they're looking to cast a spell and they're looking to get things underway, that's when the sorcerer realizes the jewel's been stolen. And he casts a spell to see where it's gone, to see who was in there. And he can see like this kind of like a playback when he casts the spell of Conan stealing the jewel, but he can feel that Conan doesn't have it anymore. It's in the king's tent. And Rawl sets out to retrieve this jewel to bring his people over. Once Raw's out there, and this is the great thing about the art in this book, is just the use of shadow and the black and white format of this storytelling fits this so well. And John Buscema and Nestor Redondo do such a great job with the art. And a lot of these shadowed panels are almost like a horror panel. They look amazing, and they're really just in black and white present an atmosphere that is absolutely unbeatable. So, again, just a big imposing picture of Rawl coming through. So, Rawl's there to get the gem from the king. The king thinks it was payment to Conan, perhaps, for betraying them, but it was not. But having that jewel in his presence now has put him in danger. And Rawl comes in, retrieves the jewel, and murders the king in the tent. Some of the king's guards arrive and are also murdered, and Rawl is gone with the jewel. And he just makes short work of them. It's like 7-8 men, and Rawl just decimates them completely, and he's gone. Now, they have what they need. They have to wait till noon the next day to do this spell properly. Noon is to come and pass, and then the spell can be incanted and done. So they set off. They need to delay. They need to buy time. So instead of letting Conan's forces, while Conan's locked up, siege their castle again and risk not being able to do the spell, they set out for a surprise attack to keep Conan's army on their toes, not knowing that the attack is fodder. The sorcerer and Rawl don't care how many of their guys die. They just need to buy time. And the best way to buy that time was to surprise them with an attack, even knowing that they may not have much of a chance of winning it. And it's working. The people are getting slaughtered. They're disorganized. The king is dead. And the shield maidens go find Conan and release him. And Conan immediately sets upon the king's old chariot with the shield maidens protecting him, and makes his way towards the front of the battle. He incites the army that was being led by the king into fighting much harder, much more focused, and they start turning the tides of battle. Now that they have a leader, now that they have someone who has inspired them to fight. Now, the wizard and Rawl are on the battlefield, and the battle isn't going the way they wanted. Yes, they're buying time. Yes, people are dying on their side. They don't care. But what they didn't count on is Conan being able to make his way through to the wizard, which he does. The shield maidens were protecting him. Conan got through and was able to perform a maneuver, kind of getting behind them. And he comes up and he gives a great slash and gets the wizard. The sorcerer is on the ground. The jewel's a little bit ahead of him, and he's just trying to reach for it. And that's when the betrayal of Rawl comes in. He comes over, takes the jewel, tells the sorcerer he doesn't need him anymore, and the wizard just can't believe that he's being betrayed. And then Conan sets upon Rawl before anything else can happen between Rawl and the sorcerer. And Rawl is just handing Conan a whooping. His sword is full of like this eldritch lightning energy, and there's not much Conan's been able to do about it. He's fighting, but he's getting beat, and he gets downed once. And the shield maidens come to Conan's aid, and they're ready to take out Rawl. But the tables aren't turning the way they've been the last few days, and Rawl disposes of both of the women that were protecting Conan, much to Conan's rage. And he's getting up. He's like, I'll try, girls, I'll try. And Raul is about ready to go over and start and finish off Conan when he gets hit by this sorceress blast from the wizard, and it takes all those souls that were he was keeping in his pouch that he was eating, and it magnifies them. They're becoming giant, and not only the ones in his bag that he was holding of the people he killed and shrunk to souls, but also the ones he's already ate. And what they do is they consume them from the inside and the outside. And Devourer of Souls is undone by the very things he was eating. And it was the wizard's last act as he perished. And Conan gets up, lifts a giant rock, and then smashes the jewel to make sure that Raul cannot be summoned again. And it ends with the last page with Conan just giving thanks to Crom and saying, if he's blessed to come with two warriors like them again, he hopes are on his side, these two shield maidens that help protect him and get him to where there could be an ultimate victory. And a victory that Conan really didn't even win himself. That the two forces that were working with each other ended up betraying each other. And, Conan lives to fight another day. So overall, a pretty good issue. Really, really enjoyed it. The only thing I would have wished is Conan had a bit more of a hand in defeating Raul than he did. He was mostly just on the ground and helpless when the wizard took out Raul. So I would have liked to have seen our hero have a little bit more heroics at the end. Still a great issue overall. And I don't mind that also Conan can be fallible and not be absolutely perfect every time he's fighting and can't overcome everything. So that's kind of good too. The art, A+. The cover by Earl Norham, one of the best ever at fantasy art. A++++. Incredible art. I'd give the conclusion a B+ because I still wish Conan would have been a little bit more of the hero. But a good, solid outing. Great story by Michael Fleischer. And you think this character is done, but he comes back, like I said, in Conan the Barbarian, written by Jim Owsley at the time, who ended up changing his name to Christopher Priest, for all of you that don't know. But that's it for this week, guys. I hope you enjoyed this review. Hope you enjoyed seeing the art. And until next time, keep it casual.